Okay, I'm gonna start the live. Okay, I'm gonna start the live.
It hasn't come up yet on my end, so I'm just waiting.
Coming. Hi, Suraya. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Great. Welcome, everybody. So I'm waiting to, hi, good morning, Suraya. Just waiting for Mari to join. Yes. Hi, Mari.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Excellent, excellent. It's nice to see you.
Oh, someone's saying it's not giving the link to log in. I think it's for the Zoom. So, Nizreen, really quickly, for them to sign up for the Zoom, did they have to do that between a certain amount of time?
No,
Like
they just have to click on the link and it should work. But I don't have anyone wanting to sign in because I can see it.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I was speaking more from the Eventbrite side because it's saying
Oh, yeah.
ended.
Yes, Eventbrite, it sounds like they need to do it ahead of time.
Okay, okay. So let me just.
Welcome, everybody. So we're gonna get started soon. There's always technical stuff. Aren't they beautiful? So I think you froze, Maury.
Yeah, I'm trying to send some information to a couple of people, so just maybe 2 more.
Sure, 2 more minutes. Hi, so this month, hi everybody, this month we wanted to create a safe place for an honest and live conversation to talk about mental health through the eyes of trauma recovery. As many of you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we wanted a brief but intentional conversation between me, therapist, and amazing advocate and coach, Mari Daniels, and founder of Free2Be, uh, about nervous system regulation and trauma. We're going to do more in-depth introductions soon. So we're going to now look at the statistics, and Maury is going to actually, I will talk about the statistics. So according to the National Alliance on Mental Health, mental health conditions are actually far more common than we think, mainly because people don't like to or are scared to talk about them. The statistics show that 1 in 5 US adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 20 United States adults experience serious mental illness each year. 1 in 6 youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. And 50% of everybody in their lifetime by age 14, they have experienced mental health issues. So when a person experiences trauma, it can be multifaceted. It could be physical, emotional, and psychological. No matter what the person has experienced, they have to know that it is possible to recover.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. I was just putting my handles in the chat so that people know how to, if they want more information. But yes, I think it's also important to say that when a person experiences trauma, it can be multifaceted, from physical, emotional, psychological abuse. And that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations, not just because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but because this is what we deal with, this is what we live with 365 days of the year. And just old school used to say, just keep living, and you'll see through experiences that trauma has a way of shaping our experiences in life. And so I'm glad to have this space with you again.
Yes.
We did this last year on my platform.
Right.
And so I'm super excited. And just thinking back to how we met, like I was literally thinking about that this morning. And so I don't know if you want to share, but
yeah. So last year when I was in Los Angeles, I went to the CALD, which is a motivational, a Christian motivational conference by a priest. Is he a priest?
he's a pastor.
He's a
Pastor
pastor.
Troy Hertz.
He's very famous, and I read some of his books, and him and his wife are so amazing. And I was
Yeah.
following them for a while, and then actually I was listening to his podcast, and he said he was having this conference in LA, and I realized it wasn't very far from where I was, so I bought a ticket and I went. And when I was there, it was really amazing, and we were, outside socializing, and somehow it was, I think, the end of the conference, and I was like, I was drawn to your energy, and you were drawn to my energy, and we started talking, and you asked me, what do I do? And I told you I'm an EMDR therapist, and light bulbs in your face. I'm like, oh, right?
Yes.
And you used to live in LA, and then you moved to somewhere else. Yeah. So tell me, how was it for you?
Oh, it was amazing. And I think just when talking to you, I think I was taking a picture and talking
Yes.
to you about EMDR therapy, knowing that one, I had gone through it myself. I've done EMDR therapy, so I was able to that really resonated with me as you shared that that's what you did for a living. And yeah, it's just been amazing connecting with you ever since. I love to watch your lives and your chats, and so you're very knowledgeable, so I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm really in awe of the work that you've done to help people recover from trauma. So I'm going to read your bio because that will make it easier for me to explain a little bit about who you are. And I also actually read parts of your book, and I totally love it, especially the butterfly metaphor. So I'll start with your bio. So Maury Daniel is a survivor advocate and founder of the nonprofit Be Free to Fly International, an organization dedicated to empowering survivors through an evidence-based trauma recovery empowerment model and an 8-step survivor-centered coaching program called Recovery, driven by her own experiences with mental health. Committed to offering tools, techniques, and resources, Maury supports women, men, and families in their journey to recover, rebuild, and restore their lives, ultimately helping them become free to fly. I just love it. And the butterfly.
Thank you.
Raising awareness is her first passion of discussion. And annually in October, her organization hosts the IMNF Survivor Symposium in Houston, Texas, in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And you have published your book, Good Morning Nude, which is available on Amazon, and people can direct message you if they want more information. So, I'm really admire your journey on how you've come, and we talked many times, and I was so interested in the model. I think it's called term that you've mentioned. TREM, right? And I was curious about what is TREM? How does it help people heal?
So TREM is an acronym for Trauma Recovery Empowerment Model. It's an evidence-based trauma recovery program. There's many facets of it, but there's one specifically for women and there's one specifically for men. I am certified in both. And so I have started the women's TREM model support group. And so the idea is that we heal better in community. And that community can be validating to our experiences when we hear the experiences of someone else, whether it be trauma from sexual abuse, domestic violence, psychological or emotional abuse. People have oftentimes, when we come into the group setting, oftentimes have similar experiences. And so it's helpful, one, to know that someone else can relate to what you've been through. It also serves as a guided support to help individuals become stronger, develop coping mechanisms, and also kind of change how we view the trauma that has happened to us. Not that we ever forget it, not that it didn't happen, but just kind of developing healthy coping skills and, just coming from an evidence base. This was created across, I think it was 25 clinicians that created this. And one I was going to show. So this is the Trauma Recovery Empowerment Model. This is the actual course, and the actual everything is there, the modules. And then this is something that I do because I do that with the women's support group, but then oftentimes women also need individual life coaching support. And so this is the book that we do this with, the Healing the Trauma of Abuse, a women's workbook. They're both created by the same people. Very, very powerful
Nice.
program. And I just it's amazing.
I'm amazed because we met last year.
Mhm.
And look at you this year, right? You are a woman on a mission, right? You got out of the relationship, you moved, you created the foundation, you came to the motivational, conference we were at. And I wanted to mention that, I'm Muslim and you're Christian, right? And we kind of connect in such a strong way on the commonalities. And the reason I want to highlight this is that we live in such a divisive world.
Yeah.
And I really love to connect with people who are different because we are the same, right? We all experience the same trauma. And that's what made us connect is our understanding of the trauma model, and then your leaps and leaps. Here you are 1 year later, you're a trauma expert, you're studying this, you're teaching this, you're supporting people where it matters. So here's to you, Mari, because you're a phenomenal woman.
Well, I don't know. It hasn't been a year. It's been since 2019 I started this journey, and I lived in LA, and so Pastor Teray and Sarah were my pastors, and they were definitely a part of that journey of healing, hope, and recovery. But writing the book definitely was cathartic for me. But I became passionate about healing from trauma specifically because it's important. I often say the road to recovery can be an amazing self-discovery. Something that came to me this week in prayer and meditation was that the people that broke you aren't often the people to fix you.
Nope.
Or the people that broke you aren't responsible for fixing you. Isn't that something? That's deep.
I totally
We have to be responsible for our own healing and what that path looks like. The path of healing is not linear. So this is where, when someone introduced me to the Trauma Recovery Empowerment Model as a program to put into my organization, an evidence-based program, meaning that it's fact and it's, it's proven to be a system that works. It just changed the whole trajectory of the organization.
It's amazing. And the people that broke you are not the people to fix you. Because, trauma is a journey into ourselves, and it's a journey into how to parent ourselves and how to take care of the fear. Because a lot of people go and they want the other person to apologize after all these years. They want redemption, and they long for this connection with the avoidant parent, the abusive parent. And they do that by going into relationships, by reproducing their past, because they're living from the subconscious mind, and they go into relationships that are similar, and they keep going and going and going, blind-sided. But the thing is, the answer is you. The greatest love of all is you. It's self-regulating, it's self-loving. So I just wanted
That's why I resonate. I would just say that's why I resonate so heavily with the butterflies.
Yeah.
One of my clients sent me this. So apparently Peru has the largest population of butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And these are all the butterflies like captured. And,
Wow.
I mean, it's just amazing. But the whole metamorphosis process that we must individually go through, the darkest moments of our lives to come out on the other side, that's what it's about. That's what the recovery is about.
100%. And just to touch base a little bit, it seems like a lot of people have resonated when I said how you and me are from different religious backgrounds, but we connect so deeply on the human experience. And Miriam mentioned that we're all humans, and the beautiful connection with the Abrahamic tradition. And many people are agreeing we are not easily broken. So I really connect, to the things that we have in common with each other.
Yes, yes, very much.
So, when we talked, I was actually interested in the TREM model, and you said it has many different components, and I was so curious. I was like, oh my God, let's do a monthly Instagram live. I want to dive deep into everyone. I want to introduce everyone to know about it. So maybe today we don't go through all of it, but most of it. So what were the 4 core assumptions that you told me about?
So one, with TREM, it's cognitive restructuring, skills training, psychoeducation, and peer support. And so the 4 assumptions from these clinicians collectively are that some dysfunctional behavior symptoms can originate as legitimate coping strategies, that are responses to the trauma. Repeated childhood exposure can deprive developmental coping skills in our adulthood. People who have been abused repeatedly, they feel powerless, they feel unsafe. And so this is a program 1 to help with that. And then trauma serves as our core connections, whether it's family, socially, the people that we connect with every day on our jobs, our family members. Again, going back to the people that broke us aren't necessarily the people to fix us. And maybe we weren't broken in childhood by a mother or a father, but just through traumatic experiences. I believe that everybody has experienced some form of trauma. I mean, and we can't decide what is traumatic for one person may not be traumatic to the other person. I could have had a car accident yesterday that could have been super traumatic. Another person could have just left an abusive relationship where they were physically and emotionally abused, and that was traumatic. So trauma, we can't decide what trauma is for the next person. And that's what I love about TREM, because it touches on every aspect of trauma, and it helps to really educate you, number 1, on what trauma is. Because I think oftentimes we don't, I'm fine. We don't really necessarily know that something has traumatically affected us.
Yeah, we are indeed meaning-making machine.
I like that.
And the type of meaning we make is different for everyone. Everyone makes a different meaning, and it's dependent on many things, and there's nobody is the same. Like they're just like, our thumbnail imprint. This is the imprint of each person's soul. And each person's soul is a journey into recovering from whatever they went through and to find the blessings in it. Because, you know,
Yes.
it's our parents, our culture, our environment, a lot of the time causes this trauma, but at the same time is the source of our blessings.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's about really finding that inner child for me as a therapist and loving that in spite and not seeing the other person as bad, but seeing the other person as on their own journey and they have their wound. And you know what I love is not making the other person or the circumstance God.
Yeah.
Because when we hold on to the hurt and we want them to apologize and to change, this is making the other person more powerful than they truly are and forgetting that the divine is inside of us.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
you know, in Islam, we say that God is closer to you than your jugular vein. That it, within us, and we have to really feel the blessings.
Yeah, I agree. There's a scripture that resonates with me all the time when I think of Romans 8:28 that says all things work together for the good.
Oh, thanks.
Not some things, not few things, not little things. We can all choose. It's a matter of how. And this is what I love about this program because there's four areas of trim. So first we start off with the empowerment side. Then we start with recovery. Then we start with advanced trauma recovery for maybe some greater challenges. And then there's the closing rituals. And for instance, in empowerment, we deal with self-esteem, physical, emotional, boundary setting. One session we did for women in the empowerment side was knowing our bodies, you know, even understanding our reproductive,
Yes.
right?
Shame.
Because what are the messages that we get as
Yes.
children sometimes through media, through television? I mean, you know, what did we know? And you would be surprised, first of all, the diversity of the group, of the sessions, but how we all come together. And depending on culture, sometimes, most times, it might have been different, but a lot of times still the same. And so even with the trauma recovery side, you know, we're talking about gaining and understanding what trauma is, because again, identifying it, because a lot of people may not even know that what they've experienced is trauma, or how to articulate it. And that was something that I struggled with in my own healing recovery journey, was I didn't always know how to articulate my feelings. I just knew, you know, I felt this something. And then when I got through the trauma recovery and then my own process of healing through therapy as well, EMDR included, then I was able to like name a thing like, okay, I didn't realize, but I knew I was feeling, you know, so it's a very empowering tool. I also think like the advanced trauma challenges, sometimes the family myths and dysfunctions and distortions, like what we often grow up in culturally or environmentally, compulsive behavior, you know, and then the closing rituals is like, how do we, which, you know, this is over a course of up to 33 sessions.
Wow.
But, you know, at the end, but then it always loops around, it recycles, it just keeps going, right? And each session is about 75 minutes.
Nice.
If not, sometimes we go a little bit over.
Yeah, it sounds like this group really takes the best of everything and breaks it down for the people in the group and creates the safe container where people can relate to other people like them, which is very important. Because I'm an individual therapist and I do run groups, but I'm not running groups right now. But a lot of the time, you know, people need to know they're not alone, need to know that their experience is similar but different than other people. And groups are very powerful. And this sounds like it's a psychoeducational group with some processing. And also, thank you, Maryam, for saying this. I really appreciate this. Maryam said we're trailblazers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the thing is that
it's intentional work.
it's intentional work, and people from so many cultures, a lot of the time, the reason your group is women's group and men's group, because the experience of being female is different than that of being male, and the shame that women have put on them, the pressures that women have is different than those that men have. Women, shame on your body, like don't.
This is why we talk about in the empowerment side, what our body is. Do we know our body? And I want to add to this, to even the women side. I remember when I started my organization in 2019, I had a mentor at the time that said, you just need to focus on women. You just need to focus on helping women who have been in domestic violence. And I'm like, first of all, it's my organization that God gave to me. And so I know what I have been called to do. And my thing has always been, we cannot heal one part of the family. We have to look at the whole thing. So when we're speaking from a domestic violence, right? When we're speaking from trauma recovery of domestic violence or intimate partner abuse, my goal was really always to heal the whole family, right? And that's a heavy feat. I'm not doing it alone by any means. But I never wanted the men to feel left out. I never wanted the children. In order to heal, we have to look at the whole family.
Yeah, because men have pressures, but it's different than women's pressures. But definitely women, it's more about people pleasing and giving up your authenticity and serving others, being a mother. I mean, for me, from the Arab world, it was always like you're someone's daughter, sister, or wife. Alone, you are nothing, right?
Yes.
If you don't have value if you're a single woman, and after a certain age, you're a spinster, and you're like, but even though the Arab world, especially Lebanon, gives off the idea that, oh, we are modern, actually, no. And men have this other model, like pressure, don't show emotions, you have to provide, you have to be strong. And this creates a lot of pressure. So there's a lot of anger, and there's this dissociation from the true self, and all these fake selves that are masks and identities that people put on, be it men and women, that they're like on automatic, running, making roles. But who are you really? And so it becomes this very codependent and enmeshed family dynamic, but it's not authentic. But there is a way to relate more authentically and be in community. But because, as Gabor Mate says, there's this challenge of authenticity versus belonging. Because, one of the things I'm going to talk about is our nervous system regulation, which is the place where the trauma enters, right? So long time ago, before we were a nuclear family, we lived in tribes. And the tribe was supportive. So when someone was born, you had many people welcome the child, and there was support. And we belonged in the tribe. And if somebody is kicked out of the tribe, they die because there's no food, there's no shelter, and they're eaten by lions. However, now we're safe if we're kicked out. And what happens is people are so scared of not belonging, that they lose themselves to belong to someone else. So the identity dynamics, politics now, I think, is big. And that's part of the trauma, is that we don't have access to our true selves, because we start, oh, I need to have a big house, oh, I need to have this, or I need to be a mother, or I need to be a husband to be someone else, and they don't know who they really are.
Yeah. That's why it's amazing self-discovery that you'll go through when you choose to intentionally heal. And as I say, be free to fly. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose.
Mm-hmm. So another question, can you give us like maybe a couple of topics that get talked about in the sessions that you provide?
So gaining understanding. So again, there's the empowerment, there is the trauma, and then there's the deep trauma, and then there's the closing rituals. So in the empowerment, again, we're working on, there's many topics, but just to kind of condense it, self-esteem, maybe setting emotional or physical boundaries, learning what our bodies are, look like, or, what our bodies are and how they function and how they were created to function, not how we sometimes in society are told they should function. And then also looking at gaining and understanding of traumas, emotional regulation, coping. Yeah, there's many parts of it. It's all about the constructive, cognitive reconstructing,
Yes.
as you say, and
Yeah.
skills training.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm loving this. People are really excited. It's all about reconnecting to the self and the true self versus the ideal self. And I like when you mentioned the rituals. And I believe that rituals are especially important for survivors of trauma because there's no celebration, when you're a child of immigrant families or strict families, there's no celebration of you. They see the child as what's your duty? They see the child as a burden.
Yeah. I was looking at Zoom. Mimi, I'm not sure what that is, but says the burden of being a woman is a stressor. And what about grieving properly?
Exactly. And that's an amazing point, Mimi, because grieving is the cornerstone of healing. I cannot say this enough. I cannot say this enough because, my clients, when they come, a lot of them, they deny that they had a bad childhood. And this is because they idealize the parents, because for them, parents is God. And it takes a lot of work for them to say, we're not attacking your parents. We're just getting on the side of your inner child. What was it like for you, really? Really? But it takes a lot of session to do this unwinding for people to connect to that pain because you want to feel better. People come, so I work from internal family systems parts, and people come, the more trauma you have, the more perfectionist you are, the more trauma you have, the more not that is a judgment, but the more people they think like, I want to get better quickly, tell me what to do. Yes. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, let's talk to that part that wants to get better quickly. What's going on there? Because that part is hiding a lot of pain that does not want to feel. And the thing is, when you're a traumatized child from a nervous system perspective, is you are not able to connect to your emotions, because when the child is seen as an object, let's say to keep the husband, or more children to get another boy perhaps, or just duty as a wife, or I don't know, they told me I have to get married and have children, and now I'm overwhelmed, I have to do all this work, oh my God, right? There is no connection to the child. So the child, okay, I'll talk about our nervous system. So as human beings, we are a nervous system. Our nervous system is the cornerstone of everything, of our health, of our mood. So when you're a baby, you're like a ball of nerves that doesn't know left, right from center. It's like, panicking from the world. He doesn't know if I'm feeling a feeling. Am I hungry? Am I angry? What's really going on? So you need to connect to another nervous system, another human, and to say, hey, calm, what's going on? Is it a nice soothing voice, the heartbeat, the skin, and the tapping is important, and the swaying.
Yeah.
That's what you do for the child. And this is what nervous system regulation is, and part of the EMDR. So nervous system regulation is swaying, moving, tapping, vocalizing, singing. When you identify you're not feeling good, you give this to yourself. But when you're traumatized, you were not given this. Nobody helped you identify your emotions. So when you come to therapy, you don't want to feel sad, you want to get better, and it's hard to connect. So the therapist role, or the coach also, is to help you find safety, that it's okay to feel big emotions. You're
Yeah.
gonna come out of it alive. But when nobody helped you regulate those big emotions as a child, they're still there stuck. That's the trauma. The trauma is stuck emotions. So they feel big. So the coach or therapist is going to help you understand that it's okay to unwind this emotion. And a lot of the time, this emotion is this inner child that's like panicking, grieving, sad, and wants help. So another nervous system regulation is hand on heart, hand on the neck, and moving. And it's really gentle. And, it's beautiful because once you access this intense emotion and relieve it, the sky is the limit. I'll tell you something. In my apartment in Toronto, I have a yoga hammock hanging from the ceiling. And I have a big fluffy pillow. Whenever I want to regulate myself, I jump in. I might put some music on, some nice music, and I sway and I hold that pillow. And I come out on the other side like Wonder Woman. But I'm with those emotions because that's okay. But it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to get there before, it was like, I have to fix this. There's a problem. It was always like acting from the survival. But actually, trauma recovery is about realizing that you're safe. This fear scenario is not happening right now.
And I think for me, understanding that the road to recovery, that recovery is possible, number one.
Yeah.
But that road, that journey, however that looks for us, it can be an amazing self-discovery. Because even if we look at the grief, like having to go through, I love what you said, the grief is the cornerstone of our healing.
Most important.
My life coaching advocate author name is Mari Danielle, right? But my former, my former married name is Morning, and not the good morning, but mourning as in grief.
Wow.
It's interesting how God works, right?
Interesting.
And so my book, Good Morning Nude, because I truly believe that in order to heal and recover from the traumatic experiences, the trauma, all of that, like we have to bare our naked souls and go through that deep grief, right? Literally, I heard somebody say, sometimes we have to just sit in the pain, right? And so me sitting in my pain allowed me to, one, in the end, now I see it as good. In the time I was going through it, I thought I didn't think I was gonna make it through. But sitting in that pain helps me to realize like the work that I needed to do. And I had to go back and look at literally everything. I'm talking about where my mom was when I was in the womb. Where was she at mentally, emotionally, physically? What environment was she in, right? And then once I was birthed, what was I birthed into, right? And so a lot of times when we talk about even childhood trauma or child abuse or all these different things, like oftentimes parents are parenting from a space that they were parented and generationally. So it became a quest for me as part of my healing journey and my own individual experiences to literally change the trajectory of generational trauma. and change it to generational healing.
Yes.
So this is why the work is so very dear and close to me, because when I looked back over the trajectory of back over the generations of my family, I seen a lot of dysfunction. I seen a lot of things that needed to be uncovered. And I was the one coming in almost like a flashlight in the dark, shining light on dark places that some people, hey, don't shine that over here, but it has to come up and come out. And
Yep.
so that's a part of recovery as well.
Secrets. Wow. So a participant on Zoom said, my mother tried to abort me out of fear of not being able to birth a healthy child, right? So what happens to us in our womb? What, like I have a story as well. We all do. I love to see connections between people's missions and their life story. Thank you for sharing it. I'm going to read some of the comments. It's an amazing conversation. Also, Miriam said, checking the boxes of what culture, society, and exceptions of others never result in alignment for an individual. Love learning about bringing back focus to myself and various modalities. This work is really, important. We're touching on so many points. Intergenerational trauma and healing is definitely where it's at. And, many people are talking about sitting in your pain. And that is very crucial. And going back and seeing who you were, who you need to be, standing up for yourself. But, I'll tell you something, sitting in your pain can be tough. What about sway while you're in pain, sway. Imagine
For me, it's journaling.
And oh my God, I journal all the time and journal, like I try different things, right?
Yes.
So another one said, a lot of my trauma I dissociated from because there wasn't a safe space to grieve, which makes sense as to why many addictions can formulate after a traumatic experience.
Yes.
Thank you for saying this. And dissociation, if I can say, is a big part of trauma. And this is what I address in my therapy sessions and coaching sessions. And this is when something happens and it's too much for our nervous system. The trauma gets birthed, and dissociation is not necessarily multiple personality, but it's like on a continuum. It's like when somebody has a car crash, God forbid, and they don't remember the minute before the crash, it's because it's too much and the brain just puts it somewhere. Right? So recovering those memories and moving them through the body, because trauma is an energy that is stuck in the body. I'm a big component of different nervous system regulation that helps move the trauma, So I help people recover. The dissociated parts really carry the grief and the difficult trauma that is the pain that you're sitting in. Right?
That makes me think of that's so good. And again, this is why EMDR is so powerful, because it focuses specifically on that. This is also why I am an advocate of therapy, because there's so many ways to get the healing that you need. It may not be through traditional talk therapy. There is pet therapy, there is art therapy, there's EMDR, there's trauma recovery. While I am not a therapist, the clinicians that created this ultimately created this for a peer support person, an advocate. This is often done in drug and recovery, so, to the point of what the person put in the Zoom. And just so our listeners know, we are both on Zoom and Instagram. So we are recording live on Zoom. And so we have some people that have logged into Zoom and are commenting there as well. And so I'm so thankful for this space. But one of the things that came up for me, Nazarene, is like, can you share the difference of positive and negative coping skills?
Sure. So, when people get stressed, right, if you don't have enough nervous system regulation and you're not aware of self-parenting and self-love and calming the nervous system, there is a state that is called addiction to excitement. Because when you are born in chaos, which is traumatizing for you as a child, your nervous system is literally bathing in hormones, stress hormones.
Yes. Mhm.
And when your nervous system, so the stress hormones are like, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, that's what you're used to. This is your normal. So when you're stressed, you don't know how to calm down. You don't know that maybe breathing, meditating, shaking in nervous system regulation and somatic experiencing, shaking, dancing, those release the stress hormones and help you go back to the regulation. But people don't know, so they reach for quick fixes
Mhm.
and things that make the adrenaline just get on a high. So this is where it leads to unhelpful strategies like binge eating,
Yeah.
Amazon shopping, quick delivery, doom scrolling on Instagram
Mhm.
instead of sleeping, instead of eating a healthy meal. Or maybe if you're dating, connecting on the apps, dating, talking to whoever, instead of talking to yourself. Instead of you
Mhm.
saying, what am I hungry for? And connecting to the divine, you know? I mean, for me, connecting to the divine is one of the things that has helped me, you know? Because, and so this is an unhelpful coping, right? Something
Yeah.
from the outside and what we call in the 12.
Someone also said opening the phone because our phones are literally at our fingertips.
Yes.
That's a good one too. Mhm.
Opening the phone. So all of this, checking on messages, who messaged me
Mhm.
on my phone. So addiction, drugs, sex addiction, love addiction, staying in. So another one is love addiction. And that one is when people stay in unhealthy relationships because it's unhealthy. What shall I do? Because an addiction is anything that you do, even though it hurts you, because it gives
Right.
you something. So if for a codependent, staying in an unhealthy relationship means, oh, maybe I'm taking care of someone. I mean, I can relate, but it's bad. You have to tolerate being alone, regulating yourself, taking care of yourself. So this is unhealthy. But a lot of the time, people come back to the healthy when they hit a rock bottom with the unhealthy. After staying too long in an unhealthy relationship, knowing it's unhealthy, but they don't have enough self energy to go because they're still navigating it from the unconscious trauma that I need this, or they're still addicted until they lose their job, they lose their home, and they realize this
Mhm.
temporary high is not helping me. I need put my big girl pants up, big boy pants up, and face myself. And the journey then takes them back up to adulting, to healthy relating. It could be leaving the relationship, dropping the drink, deleting Amazon Prime, deleting Netflix binging, taking a break from Instagram, all that, and be going to bed early,
Mhm.
doing
Getting enough rest.
and being
Hydrating.
being boring.
Mhm.
And I think, you know,
Just being still. It doesn't have to necessarily be boring. Just being still.
but for that nervous system that needs the high, it
Mhm.
seems boring.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's like
true.
the most helpful is connecting to communities of healing. Now there's a lot of conscious healing, like sound bath. I love going to a good sound bath, breath work, going to communities that are not about going to the bar, having a drink,
Yeah.
you know?
Last year at the symposium, so each year we do something different. There's a different theme. And last year at the symposium was our boundaries enough to keep you safe? And so one of the things that we brought in for nervous system regulation, something for our guest was sound bowls. and I had a beautiful, lovely kindred spirit young lady come in and do sound bowls. Nazreen, when I could tell you everybody was sitting at individual tables and it was a beautiful event, but when she sat down with those bowls and said, if you want to come forward, you can, the whole room literally shifted forward. It was magical.
Wow.
And just to see everybody closing their eyes, but the regulation that happened to some, like I had people saying, you know, TMI, but this is true to the regulation of our system. They felt so calm and so relaxed from the sound bowl effects of the sound bowls, the vibration, that literally whatever they were storing, carrying in their system, they had to release, if you understand what I mean, right? In their bowel system.
Wow.
Literally released, right? Some of them felt lighter. Some of them felt like, I mean, it's amazing. So I just love therapy, and I love just the many tools and resources to healing, I will say. I love healing and intentionally healing. And that to me is what Trim is. It is an intentionally healing space, a safe space, a confidential space that we have curated for women who want to heal. And I'm excited to hopefully be launching in the summer the space for men as well.
That's great. And
So
how
this
can
has been so good today. This has been so good. I know we're
but I can keep
time.
talking forever, and I want to keep talking forever. And we can keep. I'm totally open to doing this again.
Yeah.
And how can people sign up to your group?
So if they visit the website, at the beginning, if you scroll all the way back to the handles that I put in here, my Be Free to Fly, and I'll put a message in there now. If you go and follow my page, you can go to my link on my page, but www.be, just the letter by itself, free, FREE, the number 2, fly, FLY, international.org. You can learn all about the organization, but there is there's the TRIM support group sign up. And so you'll be able to sign, but you have to fill out a form, and it's just, you know, some intentional questions to ask. Are you ready for this journey? And kind of what your expectations are in, you know, choosing to intentionally heal. And then I'll send you more information from there. So we usually meet by Zoom, virtually. And again, it is a safe, closed, confidential space. Our cameras must be on because, again, we want to be healing in community. We want to see one another. We want to connect with one another, have a true, authentic connection. So, they can also direct message me as well.
Great. And also, I'll put a plug in for my therapy and coaching. So I am accepting coaching clients internationally, and I guide them to find their inner oasis. So the inner oasis is this part of you that is so nervous system regulated, so beautiful, that is like happy and just juicy. It's this experience of being human. It's a juicy experience. So on Zoom, I connect people to peel those layers of the parts that are stressed and addicted and obsessed and stressed, to dive deep into your layers of being and to be this true gem that you are. And I work a lot with multicultural people because this trauma is real for multicultural people. And I can't wait. I'm coming to your symposium 100% because you invited me, inshallah.
Yes, I did.
And so I'm going to read some of the comments before we wrap it up, because it sounds that there's some good people are thanking us, loving us. And
thanking them for being
yes,
here,
of course,
to hold this space and join us in this space, and just for your comments and feedback, lets us know that we're on the right track as well, and just always happy. I love having healing conversations. So.
And I am so amazed that it's resonating with people, and it's really giving me feedback on the mission. There's one comment saying, I have trouble allowing myself to feel angry about things that have happened. And I also feeling like I don't have a right to feel ungrateful or mad at the creator. This is real. You know, this comment, it's very, this is the you are on the cusp of launching. When you allow yourself to get angry, get angry at your parent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they're bad because they're doing what they learned, and let your inner child express her needs, what she didn't get.
Yes.
Guidance, nurturance. A lot of children, girls, I have many clients who are girls from many cultures who have brothers, and they say, I had to do all the housework.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up to be the housemaid,
Mm-hmm.
the caretaker, and I saw my brother go to business, do whatever he wants. That itself is so, frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, especially with immigrant parents, and regular parents, it's like they say, I'm doing this for your own good. I'm going to work day and night for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the child is like, okay, I have to be grateful for you forever, but and then the child feels pressure to hold the identity that the parent wants them to be. Like if they want the daughter to be a specific way. And then also this being ungrateful. It's like, I did all this to you. I left my country of origin. I did this to you, but the parents did that because of their idea. And, this is very important because Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese poet, has a poem about children to parents. And he says, your children come from you, but they don't belong to you. They are lives longing for yourself. The parent, you are the bow, and the child is the arrow. And the parent, you just launching your child by giving birth, giving them food and shelter and good values and nervous system regulation, and then the child can go do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But the parent who is traumatized and and codependent and wanting to give generational trauma is like, do this or else. So it's a lot. You're a generational trauma breaker.
Yeah. We both are.
Yes. And whoever is saying this comment that, feeling your anger, doing all that work to get out, I can keep going on and on and on. Okay, great.
We'll definitely do a part 2.
Yes, we should do part 2. So thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for joining, and we will share this video. So hopefully you can share it with others that that were not able to join today, that will will help them to reflect, because I think somebody just said amazing reflections. That's the biggest part of awareness, is that when we sit and reflect and we get quiet and we sit in that pain and we feel anger and we feel all those things, it creates that awareness to bring about change. So this has been so good. Thank you so much for Nisreen for
yes,
all that you
thank
do.
you. Thank you for the comments on Zoom as well. There's another comment on Zoom. She's saying that is not so different from African American culture, which I was talking about, the immigrant culture, right? We're human. I cannot stop talking. Like, we're a human race, okay? We're not different races. We're human beings. So Black, Pakistani, Lebanese, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, let's just stop fighting, please. I am so grateful for you, Maury. I'm so grateful for the people who joined this and for their feedback and comments. And we're going to do this again because I get energized when I do this. Bye.
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 Nisreen.
Nizreen.